NER just posted Q2 25 profits with a solid 15.72% growth. Hello and welcome to Insight AI Brief Setai. Today, we're going to talk about NER stock. But before we get started, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Welcome everyone. Great to have you with us for this deep dive. Today, we're focusing on Northeast Rubber Public Company Limited. You probably know them as NER. We're digging into their latest Q2 results for 2025, looking at recent news, basically trying to give you the clearest picture possible, cutting through all the jargon.
Exactly. And we've structured this to, really cover the key angles. We'll start with financials, how they actually performed last quarter. Then we'll pivot to, okay, what's next? Their future plans, their strategies. After that, we'll look at what the analysts are thinking, price targets, market feeling, that sort of thing. And we'll wrap up with financial stability, dividends, the whole package, really. Aiming for a properly nuanced view here.
Okay, let's jump straight into NER's Q2 25 numbers then, because wow, they definitely caught my eye. A net profit jump of 15.72% compared to last year. That brought them to 554 million Thai baht.
Very solid. And behind that profit, well, a big part of it was sales volume. For Q2 alone, volume was up 23.6%. That's over 111,000 tons.
Okay, so it's not just prices going up, they're actually selling more stuff.
Precisely. And that volume pushed total sales revenue up 30.56%. Let me check. Yes. 30.56% to nearly 7.6 billion baht.
Almost 7.6 billion. That's significant growth. Where's it coming from mainly? Domestic? International?
Well, that's what's interesting. It's both. Domestic sales saw a really robust increase, up 29.13%, hitting over 6 billion baht. But get this, international sales grew even faster, 36.74% growth, reaching almost 1.5 billion baht.
Huh. So strong demand pretty much across the board then. That definitely spreads the risk, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. It shows they're not just leaning on one market, which is, always a healthier sign.
So if Q2 was strong, what about the whole first half of 2025? Does that trend just sort of continue?
It does, and arguably gets even stronger when you look at the 6-month picture, H125. Total sales volume for the half year expanded by 16.53%, so that's nearly 239,000 tons. And the revenue for those 6 months, up 31.83% to almost 16.3 billion.
16.3 billion, okay. And the bottom line, the net profit for the half?
Even better, proportionally. Net profit for H1 was up 24.72% compared to last year, over 1.16 billion baht.
Wow, okay, so sustained growth. What are the main things really pushing this performance?
Well, there are a couple of key drivers. On the demand side, it's pretty strong. China especially continues to be a major buyer.
Yeah.
And NER actually has orders booked well into Q1 of 2026 already. That gives them a lot of visibility.
Q1 2026 already.
Right.
Okay, that's confidence inspiring.
Definitely. Plus, you've got the whole global shift towards EVs, electric vehicles, that needs more rubber for tires, seals, you name it. And then government support, infrastructure projects, they all consume a lot of rubber.
But the demand side seems solid. What about supply and pricing? Because rubber prices can be volatile.
They can be, but lately they've been trending upwards. Part of that is, government actions cracking down on illegal imports, which tightens the legal supply, but also weather hasn't been cooperating in some growing areas. More rain, flooding, that's reduced rubber tapping and production, so less supply, steady demand. Prices have gone up by maybe 4 to 5 baht per kilo. That obviously helps NER's revenue figures.
Okay, that makes sense. So strong performance backdrop. Now here's where it gets really interesting for me. What's their plan going forward? They must have some strategies to keep this momentum going, right? They put out some pretty ambitious targets for the full year 2025, aiming for 500,000 tons in sales volume and revenue, around 34 billion baht. That's quite a leap.
It is ambitious, yes. But management seems confident. They point to those advance orders we mentioned covering 3 to 6 months right up to Q4 this year. So a chunk of that target is already sort of in the bag, or at least looks very likely.
Okay, so the orders help. What else are they doing strategically? Just selling more to existing customers?
Not just that. They're actively looking for new international customers, specifically targeting places like Korea and India. Demand for rubber in those markets is growing quite fast with their industrial expansion.
Makes sense. Diversifying the customer base internationally.
Right, but while doing that, they're also focused on keeping their existing customers happy, obviously. But there's another key strategic shift happening. They've actually adjusted their sales mix. Now it's planned to be 70% domestic, 30% export mainly to Japan, China, India.
70-30, that's quite a shift towards domestic. Why?
Primarily, it seems, to reduce the headache of currency fluctuations. Exchange rates can really impact profits when you export a lot, so focusing more on the domestic market gives them more stability against, the Thai baht moving against other currencies. It's a kind of natural hedge.
Interesting. So hedging currency risk through sales mix? What about the products themselves? Are they sticking just to raw rubber?
Not at all. They're pushing into product diversification, developing new value-added things like specialized rubber flooring for livestock sheds or even for pets, moving up the value chain, basically.
Okay, flooring. What else?
Well, they're also planning, and this could be quite significant, to get into rubber products for human use. Things like anti-shock mats, maybe for elderly care or hospitals. They expect more clarity on that sometime this year, in 2025.
Anti-shock mats.
Huh.
That could be a completely different market segment, potentially higher margins too.
Exactly. And alongside this diversification, there's a big push on operational efficiency and ESG environment, social governance. They're constantly upgrading machinery, getting ready for higher production volumes down the line, and always looking to cut operational costs. That flows right to the bottom line.
And the ESG part. How serious are they about that?
Seems pretty serious. A key example is their investment in renewable energy. They've got 8 megawatts of capacity now from solar panels and biogas. That cuts their energy bills significantly. It's not just greenwashing, it's saving them real money.
8 megawatts is quite substantial for their own use.
It is. And beyond energy, their ESG efforts cover things like ensuring a sustainable supply chain, promoting green markets. They're also doing community stuff, learning libraries, reducing plastic waste, health checks for local vulnerable groups, even science programs for employees. It's quite broad.
Sounds like a well-rounded approach, trying to be a responsible player. Okay, one more crucial thing for a commodity business: risk management. How do they handle price swings?
Yeah, absolutely vital. They use something they call a matching system. Essentially, they try to synchronize buying their raw rubber with locking in the sales price for the finished product.
So they lock in their margin as much as possible.
Pretty much. It helps massively reduce the risk from rubber price volatility. And for the currency risk we mentioned earlier, they don't just rely on the sales mix. They also actively use forward contracts to hedge against exchange rate movements.
Okay, so matching for commodity price risk, forwards for currency risk. Sounds like they've got their bases covered.
Seems like a prudent approach, yeah.
All right, let's talk investor takeaways then. What does all this mean for someone holding or considering NER stock?
Dividends are always a good place to start. And good news here, the board approved an interim cash dividend. It's 0.05 Thai baht per share, approved just recently, August 8th. That works out to a total payout of about 92.4 million baht.
And for anyone interested, the key dates. The XD date, when you need to own the stock, is August 22nd, 2025. And the actual payment date is scheduled for September 5th, 2025.
Got it. XD, August 22nd, payment September 5th. And where's this dividend coming from? Their regular operations?
Yes, it's from operations in the first half of this year, January 1st to June 30th. And specifically, that 0.05 baht is coming from BOI promoted activities.
The Board of Investment Incentives. That usually means tax benefits, right?
Right.
Which helps the profitability behind the dividend.
Exactly. Now, digging a bit deeper into the numbers analysts watch. Earnings per share, EPS. For Q2, it came in at 0.33 Thai baht per share.
0.33. How did that compare to what people were expecting? It actually beat the forecast. The consensus was around 0.28 baht. So a nice little positive surprise there.
Always good to see an earnings beat. What about looking forward? What's the forecast for the next quarter's EPS?
The forecast for Q3 EPS is a bit lower, around 0.26 Thai baht. And anticipated revenue is pegged at about 7.53 billion Thai baht.
Okay, so slightly lower EPS expected next quarter. Now the big question, price targets. What are the analysts saying NER stock is worth?
Right, we looked at 7 analysts covering the stock. The average price target comes out to 5.71 Thai baht.
5.71. But is there much disagreement? What's the range like?
There's definitely a range. The highest target from those analysts is 7.00 baht, but the lowest is down at 4.50 baht.
7 baht down to 450. That's quite a spread. So just different views on how things will play out.
It often does. Depends on their assumptions about rubber prices, execution, maybe the impact of those new products we talked about.
Can we get a bit more specific? Any particular banks or securities firms we can look at?
Sure. Let's take ASL Securities. They have a buy rating on NER. Their target price is 6 baht, looking towards the end of 2025. They actually nudged up their estimates for the full year 2025 revenue, now projected around 29.8 billion baht. Net profit about 2.1 billion. That's about 4% higher than before.
And why are they optimistic? What's driving their buy rating?
They expect higher average selling prices to hold up. And interestingly, they predict about a 20% reduction in SG&A expenses, selling general admin costs, partly because that shift to more domestic sales means lower export-related expenses.
Okay, so ASLC's 6 spot. Anyone else?
Yeah, Yuanta Securities, the Thai branch, they also rated a buy, but they're even more bullish. Their target is 7.3 way bot for end of 2025.
7.3, that's near the top of the range. What's their reasoning?
They shared the positive outlook on rubber prices, but a key factor for Yuanta is the growing importance of revenue from EUDR-compliant rubber.
Ah, the EU deforestation regulation stuff. That's becoming a big deal for commodity exports to Europe, isn't it?
Absolutely. It requires proof that products haven't come from deforested land. Yuanta believes NER being compliant will be a competitive advantage, boosting both revenue and margins, especially for exports to the EU.
So overall, analyst sentiment seems pretty positive.
Very much so. If you look at the consensus from about 8 analysts over the last 3 months, it leans heavily towards strong buy, or at least buy. Broad confidence, it seems.
Good to know. Now, just to ground this, where is the stock trading right now, or at least very recently?
Okay, as of the close on August 8th, 2025, NER finished the day at 4.58 Thai baht. That was up slightly on the day, about 0.88%. Traded between 4.50 and 4.60 baht during that session.
4.58. Okay, so below the average analyst target, but above the lowest target.
Correct. Volume on that day was around 4.5 million shares, worth about 20 million baht.
And just for context, what's the 52-week range been like?
Over the past year, it's traded as high as 5.65 baht and as low as 3.88 baht.
Right. Now, usually we dig into things like PE ratio, price to book, key valuation metrics. Did the sources give us the...
For this particular dive, the specific current PE and PBV ratios weren't detailed in the materials we reviewed. Important metrics, absolutely, but just weren't highlighted this time.
Okay, fair enough. We work with what we've got.
So let's try and pull this all together. What's the bottom line here? Well, NER looks to be in pretty robust financial shape. You've got strong Q2 and H1 results setting a good foundation. They have clear strategies for growth expanding markets, new products, efficiency gains, plus that ESG focus, which is increasingly important.
And they seem to be managing the inherent risks pretty well.
Exactly. The matching system for prices, the forward contracts for currency, it shows they're thinking proactively about stability. You add the positive analyst sentiment, the buy ratings, the dividend. It paints a compelling picture, I think.
It certainly seems like a company executing well in a potentially favorable market. Which brings us to our final thought for you, our listeners. As NER makes this strategic shift towards more domestic sales to dampen that currency volatility, think about what that means more broadly. For other businesses dealing in global commodities, in this world it's, super connected but also feels increasingly unpredictable, is focusing more inward, like NER is doing, a key strategy for resilience. And how might that specific move position NER, maybe uniquely, for long-term stability and growth compared to competitors who remain more export-heavy? Something to chew on. Finally, if there are any other stocks you'd like us to cover, please let us know. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support our team. Thank you.